Welcome to the kindergarten orientation video for data collection for early adopters for our new math intervention progress monitoring and screening. The first thing I'd like to talk to you about is confidentiality in data, and so we're going to ask that campuses use some sort of identifier for their student. I've put some example ones here, and it could be some combination of letters in the teacher's name with student and a number. It could just be sample with a number for the student and maybe an identifier for the campus like GES. It could be some combination of all of that. Part of the teacher's name, maybe the first 5 letters, the grade level, kinder in this case, a number identifier for the student, depending on how many students you would have, an identifier for the campus. Since each campus will have its own spreadsheet, you might choose not to put the campus on there and just to put part of the teacher's name, part of student, and a number for the student. You might choose the campus and the grade level and some number, but no identifier for the teacher. It really is up to you. I don't have a preference about how that works. Each campus should make their own decision there, but that should maintain student confidentiality. The first piece of data that will need to be recorded comes from screening information. Remember, we're putting our screeners and our progress monitors out unnormed this year. iStation is our universal screener, and of course it has its own norms. It also records data already, so that I don't really feel there's a need to record it in this spreadsheet. The eNumeracy kindergarten screener is where the other information that will come from that will be recorded in the spreadsheet. Notice that this screener has several parts: rote counting, counting arrays, number recognition, matching quantities, partitioning equal quantities, and building sets with manipulatives. This screener comes with an examiner score sheet. Each binder that the early adopters have has 10 copies of the examiner scoring sheet in it. To use it for all your class, you might need to make more copies of that, but we've provided you 10 initially. On this score sheet, you're able to record the student responses to the flip cards that the student sees as you go through the screening with them. You could do parts of this screening different days. How you do that is really up to you. But you have places to record here. Notice it's broken up into the same sections we saw on the website: rote counting, counting arrays, number recognition, matching quantities, partitioning equal quantities, and building sets, which is below the screen, but I promise it's there. So you have one of these sheets for every student. What I'm asking go in the spreadsheet is the same information. From rote counting, what number did the student count to? From counting arrays, how many out of those 3 questions did they answer correctly? From number recognition, how many of the 25 numbers did they recognize? From matching quantities to numerals, how many of the 3 did they get correct? Same thing for partitioning equal quantities. Same thing for building sets. Our screening data would then be used to determine who would need progress monitoring. And so on the site, below the screening information, you have progress monitoring tools that are available. For kinder, there are fairly few of these because the gap would not be as wide at kindergarten. And you see that some of the sections from the screener are combined in the progress monitors when they were things that went easily together, like rote counting and number recognition and counting arrays, and partitioning and building sets. And so for students whose screening data indicated that they might need intervention, these are progress monitoring tools that you could use with them, in addition to the tools we've used previously from Numberfly. On the spreadsheet itself, as we look at how these sample students did, notice the students in this particular column didn't count very far, missed lots of the items in building sets, partitioning, matching quantities, was only able to recognize about half of the numbers. And so we decided to start in progress monitoring with this student using number recognition and counting arrays. And so when we went back to the site, we took a look at the very last part of the instructional resources and looked at what the student had trouble with and said, okay, maybe we should use some of these activities with this particular student and then use this progress monitor to determine how they're making progress. That progress would then be noted over here on this spreadsheet. We would enter in the progress monitor title, which number it is, and we'll look at that in a second, and what percent the student got correct on that particular progress monitor. If the student is Tier 2, we would progress monitor every other week. If the student is in Tier 3, we would progress monitor every week. So since we decided to use number recognition and counting arrays, I'm going to pull up that particular progress monitor. And with kindergarten, everything is performance-based. And so you have things in your binder to show to the student or present to the student along with counting bears that you would already have in your classroom. And then you record student responses on this sheet. You also have a place to put a SMART goal for the student. The top box here is the first progress monitor. The second box is progress monitor number 2. The third box, progress monitor number 3. And the last box, progress monitor number 4. So you have 4 different progress monitors that progress monitor the same thing, just with different numbers and stimuli. And so that percentage correct would then get recorded over here, just the one number, as you looked at that one where you had 12 items in a progress monitor. How many did they get correct out of that 12, which you're also noting at this place on your progress monitor as well. And then that percent correct simply gets recorded over here. The next time we progress monitor with a student, same kind of progress monitor, same title. Now we're moving to the second box, so it's progress monitor number 2. What percentage did the student get correct that time? So we can see, is the student improving from time to time? Same sort of thing here. As we move on to progress monitor number 3, students getting better, still not quite at where we'd want them to be. Progress monitor number 4, student hit it. We might want to look, okay, are they still able to keep that? So we might cycle back around to the first progress monitor and say, yep, they're keeping up with it. We're good. So let's move on to another place where this student had some intervention needs, as shown by our screening data, and move on to rote counting and number recognition. And it goes through the same process. It has its own examiner scoring sheet, just like the one I showed you. It has 4 boxes for 4 instances, and you can use those in order. First for the top box, what percentage correct? Second for number 2 for the second box, what percentage correct? Number 3 for the third box, what percentage correct, etc. And it keeps on going. Notice that this student is the only one in this particular case of the sample who has been identified as needing intervention. And so for the other students, there's no recording about progress monitors because with the other students, we're not using progress monitors. So we would only record progress monitoring data for students for whom we use it, whereas we would record screening data for all the students. Thank you for taking time to view this orientation video.